We are just 11 days from a government shutdown, and we need to figure out what could happen to your portfolio and what could happen to the economy. Let's go ahead and break it down. Now, as mentioned, we are 11 days from a potential government shutdown. Technically, we have until September 30th, which gives us a few more days, but this is the fast track if we are to get something passed for a full year of funding. But what impact does this have on the stock market? And historically, what has happened? Well, on average, when we run into a government shutdown, the stock market rises by 0.04%. Okay, not a lot. It is basically flat. But there have been some years where the stock market has done quite well, and then some years where it hasn't. One example, 2018, 2019, the stock market during the shutdown, which was 35 days, the largest that we have ever had, the market was up 8% during that time. Now, it is important to note that it was down 4% at the very beginning. So it was a very steep drop to start that shutdown, and then the market rose after. There have been some years where it has, I wouldn't say fallen off a cliff, but there have been some years where it's negative. But again, overall, it has been quite flat. Usually, especially from what I have observed, it has been in whatever direction the stock market has gone in general. So that is not something I would necessarily play when it comes to the market. I don't think, hey, government shutdown, go buy these, 5 or 6 stocks. I really don't see that type of pattern playing out. Doesn't mean it won't exist, but historically, it's just kind of been a mixed bag. However, what I'm most concerned about is this. Every week that the government shuts down, they're not spending money, the economy shrinks by 0.15%, 0.15%. Now, that might not sound like a lot. Generally, no, it's not, until that starts to add up. If we are shut down for the entire fourth quarter of 2023, the economy could shrink by about 1%. Why is that significant? That's because a good number for the economy to grow, what we call GDP, gross domestic product, is 2%. So imagine a scenario where we're growing by 2% per quarter or so, and you go from 2% to 1%. That is an issue because the way that really economy works and how our entire system works is the government collects taxes from people like me and you, not fun, but they have to do it, and then they go and spend that money through these federal agencies. Many of them will be closed. National parks, TSA is going to be kind of weird. Air traffic control is going to be weird. And if they're not spending that money through these agencies, that money is not going out to consumers and some companies. For example, the infrastructure bill that has been helping companies like John Deere, helping companies like Caterpillar. Well, if they're not getting that money from the government anymore and people aren't buying that equipment to build roads and bridges and all that stuff, how is that going to impact your portfolio? And even worse, in the doomsday scenario, which y'all know I don't like being the doomsday guy, what happens if the economy shrinks in Q4, people are making student loan payments on October 1st, and then the economy is shrinking all at that exact same time when people are supposed to be spending the most money for the holiday season. This could, in a worst case scenario, be reflected in January of 2024 when we start to see that companies like Target, which hadn't done well already, but other consumer goods and companies who make their money from people spending, Amazon being one of those, report earnings that are less than expected. That could have an impact on your portfolio and definitely have an impact on the stock market as a whole and the economy. Another good example here is if this is an extended shutdown, which we do not want to happen. Okay, we absolutely do not want that to happen. Think of a lot of these airline stocks. Think of one of my favorite stocks, Booking.com. Well, if TSA is going to be a mess and air traffic control is going to be a mess because we're not spending money to pay those people, and you got to work for, 15 or 20 days without pay or longer, you're not going to be paying attention at work. That's not going to be nice, right? But most importantly, that's going to really shuffle how people are going to travel, and it might keep people home. That could hurt my investments in that particular sector. Now, thankfully, again, we got 11 days to come together, figure out what we want to do, and avoid this entire scenario. That would be great. That is what I think we would all hope for. But again, that is only it that extends all the way through Q4 of 2023. The longest shutdown we've ever had is 35 days, which is still terrible. There should be no shutdowns because, we should pay our bills and just agree and come to a decent compromise without ruining everything every single time. We already went through a whole debt ceiling thing earlier this year. We should not have time for this. We really should not have time for this. But the situation is the situation, and we do need to understand what is going on so we can be prepared for anything that may occur. So right now, we got technically 11 days, a little bit more before this is to occur, assuming we don't get anything passed. There is one temporary measure that normally occurs where basically they kick the can down the road and give the government just a little funding so they can argue about it at some point in 2024. I would argue that is the most likely scenario, but we are going to see what's going to happen. And obviously you want to stay tuned to the Twitter account. Obviously stay subscribed here and everywhere else. When this news breaks, I will usually let you know up front before I can even get a chance to record a video. So you want to make sure that you're there. I have all the links and stuff in the description below. Now, with all that out the way, there are a few other things, a few other ways that the federal government and their squabbles can impact how you save, how you invest, and everything in between, and you want to be informed about all that stuff. If that's you and you want to be informed, you want to make sure that you check out these videos right here.